In this video, we'll be taking you through a step-by-step installation demo of TelaScapes Fabric Track Panel System. TelaScapes is a complete system provided by Primacoustic which includes track, fill material, fabric wrap, and installation tools. With multiple fabric colors to pick from, TelaScapes is an acoustic treatment option for creating custom designs for any number of applications, from commercial settings to performance venues and studios. Before we start, if you haven't had a chance to watch a How to Design a TelaScapes System video, we recommend checking it out before proceeding with these next steps. When you finish designing your TelaScapes system, it is time to begin the installation process. First, let's run through the appropriate tools for the job. You'll need a utility knife, scissors, adhesive spray, sandpaper, or file. Primacoustic offers a TelaRocker and a 5 and 2-inch finishing spatulas for tucking the fabric into the panel. For cutting the track, we recommend using an 8 to 10-inch miter saw, using a fine-tooth blade with at least 90 teeth for cutting plastic. We do not recommend using a carbide-tipped saw blade and instead use a plywood blade. We will be using an 18-gauge 1/4-inch crown stapler to attach the track to the drywall, but if a stapler is unavailable, the track can be screwed through the drywall into blocking using panhead sheet metal screws every 1 to 2-inch maximum. Lastly, to attach the fill material to the track, you'll need some drywall screws. The appropriate length will vary depending on the thickness of the fill and track. Panel securing washers are also available through Primacoustic. Note that we are attaching to drywall. Other surfaces will require some tool substitutions to be made. After gathering these tools, transfer your design outline onto the wall. Then begin the installation process. Step 1 is to prepare the perimeter and mid-wall tracks. Using your miter saw, you can carefully begin marking the angle cuts for corners and joints of the track. Refer closely to your design to ensure each piece is the proper length. Make the installation day easier by creating a detailed cut list of required tracks. With your design handy, measure each length of track and plan for the joints. Tracks are provided in varying lengths, so note any edges that will need to be joined. Corner joints should be mounted with a 1/16 of an inch gap. All mid-wall and perimeter joints should leave a 1/16 of an inch gap to allow for tucking material. For mid-wall connects with 4 points, allow for a 1/16 of an inch space between each connect. For square panels, each cut must be made at 45 degrees for a clean edge. Panels can be made to other shapes as well, but be sure to match the cut angles for each adjacent piece. Mid-wall tracks should have 45-degree angle cuts to fit into the perimeter track. When the mid-wall tracks meet in the middle of the panel, all 4 points must be mitered to a triangle. At this point, all our cuts are now complete. But before we begin attaching anything to the wall, we're going to pre-wrap the outer track with fabric. This step is optional, however, as you may prefer to leave the outsides of the perimeter tracks visible. Here is a guide on how to pre-wrap. Begin by cutting a strip of fabric to attach to the perimeter track. A 6-inch strip is recommended for a 2-inch frame, whereas a 4-inch strip is best for a 1-inch frame. Spray adhesive to the side and the bottom of the track. Then, on a flat surface, lay the track down onto the fabric with the bottom face. Wrap the track with the fabric strip on the bottom and the side edge. Then, using the TelaRocker, tuck the excess fabric into the channel. Trim any excess fabric and retuck back into the channel to create the clean line. After you repeat this process for each perimeter piece, the track is pre-wrapped and ready to be mounted to the wall. Start the mounting process with the perimeter corner track and attach to the wall using staples or screws every 1 to 2 inches. We recommend placing staples at different angles to best affix the track onto the drywall. Each connecting perimeter track piece should be placed flush to the other. However, perimeter track with an expected mid-wall track connection should have an 1/8 of an inch spacing to allow for extra fabric and material. Mid-wall tracks should be mounted with staples or screws every 1 to 2 inches on alternating sides of the track to be secured properly. When 4 mid-wall tracks are coming to a point, leave a 1/16 of an inch gap between each track to allow for fabric to fit into the seam. Now that our track is set on the wall, the next step is to prepare the acoustic fill material. Carefully measure and cut the material to size for each panel section. We advise resealing the exposed edge of our glass wool panel with an adhesive to prevent any glass wool from escaping. EcoScapes PET material does not require resealing. You'll then need to fit the acoustic panel into the frame. Ideally, it should be tight and hold in place on its own. At this point, we recommend marking out the stud locations on the panel to make it easier to mount the panels with the hardware. Secure the panel to the wall using the appropriate length drywall screw and washers. Washers are available through Primacoustic. After following these steps for each section, the acoustic material is now secured in place. We're almost finished with the installation. All that's left now is to install the fabric wrap. Measure and cut the fabric for the first section. It's key to cut 6 to 8 inches wider and longer than the area to be covered to allow for the fabric to be properly tucked. Take note that any pattern and textures should be straight with the panel. When tucking the fabric, start at the top and center of the track and work out in both directions. There should be 2 to 3 inches of extra fabric. Leave this to be trimmed later. Now, repeat this process at the bottom of the panel, starting at the center and working your way to the edge. Move to the sides of the panel and begin tucking. Start at the middle and work your way out while alternating each side. Take care in the corners to ensure they do not rip. After all edges are tucked, take the moment to double check the pattern and weave to make sure they are all in the correct orientation. Use scissors to trim the edge of the fabric as close to the track as possible, but be careful not to also cut the tucked fabric. Tuck in all remaining fabric into the track to hide the recently trimmed fabric. Once again, take extra precaution tucking in at the corners. Just repeat these steps for the remaining sections. Your TelaScapes system is now completely installed. We hope this demo video was helpful during the process. You can now access more resources at our channel or at primacoustic.com. Thank you for choosing Primacoustic for your acoustic treatment projects.